So today, it's been exactly 4 weeks since I went for my very first Profhilo treatment here in South Africa. And I know you are just dying to find out how the treatment has worked on my skin. I will say it's difficult to see on camera. I'm just wearing a light base, so I'm going for my second treatment today. But I will say that personally, I'm very happy with the results I see so far. They do recommend that you do 2 treatments initially, 4 weeks apart, as I explained and I showed in video number 1, where I went for the first treatment. And I highly, highly recommend you watch that video. It really is full of good information, and I show you the actual injection process. So just to recap briefly, Profhilo is an injectable hyaluronic acid, and it has the highest concentration of hyaluronic acid in any injectable so far, from what I understand. And it's the way to describe it is like a liquid form instead of like a gel-like silicone form. I think that's the best way to describe it. So all the deep fillers that construct and build up your face when you're doing like liquid facelifts and stuff, those are apparently cross-polymered, whereas the hyaluronic acid in the Profhilo just spreads, and it's meant to sort of spread under the skin. They call it the injectable moisturizer, and now I can see why. The effect is subtle. No one looks at me and goes like, whoa, what have you had done? Which is great, but I'm happy with the results. I would say my skin is smoother, less crepey, less dry looking, fuller, plumper, especially because Profhilo is only treating the lower 2/3 of your face. They don't do the forehead, as I mentioned in that video. In fact, I'm going to link, is it here or here? I'll link to that video, and I recommend you do watch it. I think it was because there's too many veins in the forehead and it's too close to the bone. There's some complication with the forehead. I did do some research. I did find on the internet that some places will treat your forehead, but it's off-label. It's not recommended. And so the clinic that I went to, the Skin Renewal in Umhlanga, they don't do off-label stuff like that. I wish they would, because my boyfriend says he can see a huge difference in my skin. It just looks plumper, smoother, fresher. It basically looks like my skin is like 2 years younger, maybe 3. So although I'm still aging and unfortunately the laxity underneath the skin is there, my actual skin itself suddenly looks fresher. And unfortunately, he says he can see in good lighting sort of where the Profhilo actually reaches almost. You can almost see it. And then from there, he says that this skin doesn't look as good. That kind of sucks, right? So that, I would say, is the number 1 drawback of Profhilo. It's not doing the whole face, and for that price, you kind of want your whole face to look matched and even. I don't know how one would sort of treat this skin to get that plumpness, because I can see the skin. It's not facial plumpness, it's skin plumpness. And the best analogy I came up with, so basically, as people were asking me, I would say, I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I just feel fresh. I feel like, when you've had a really good night's sleep. In your 40s, it takes a really good night's sleep for you to look fresh and dewy and moist and sparkling and glowing. Well, now with Profhilo, every day I look like that instead of just on the good night's sleep days, right? So I can have good night's sleep, bad night's sleep, exercise, no exercise, whatever, and the skin just looks younger. Now Profhilo is meant to also build collagen and elastin. I can't speak to that yet. I don't know whether it's had enough time, because I still feel like the jowling is there, but that's also the tissue underneath the skin. But think of Profhilo like this. This was the analogy I came up with. Your aged skin, so in your 40s, 50s, 60s, your aged skin is like a raisin, right? It is losing its moisture, losing its collagen, losing its elastin, all that good, plump, juicy stuff, right? So your skin is like a raisin. if you take a raisin and you dip it in water, hot water, or when you put it in coleslaw, the raisin swells and plumps up. Now, that's kind of how I feel my skin is with the Profhilo. It's like a plumped up raisin. I will never be a grape. I'm 40, nearly 43. I will never be a grape again, but I feel like I'm a plumped up raisin. My skin is moister. I can't describe it. Even though you still have to apply your moisturizer after you cleanse, it's juicy, plumper is the word, but not fat. I'm hoping after the second treatment I will see more of the, because they say it does treat laxity. I don't know if it does. If it works, I would really like Profhilo on my neck, because I'm seeing that this skin, when I do like that, it's losing that laxity. Look, going forward, if I could afford it, I would probably want Profhilo on my neck, maybe even on my hands, but it is expensive. So I don't know. Yeah, if something works, and this seems to have worked, it's worth it, obviously, but obviously there's the financial aspect. But quickly, before I go, I'm going to go for my second treatment right now, but before I go and do that, let me just recap what Profhilo cannot do. Profhilo is not like Botox, so it's not a neurotoxin. It cannot freeze the small muscle movements around your eyes, forehead, wherever. It can't stop that. So it can't prevent the wrinkles from forming. You see there, okay? And it hasn't quite seemed to have gone there where there's still the crepey skin. It's sort of here. I will say that these little lines there are more smoothed, more plumper. Hopefully with the second treatment that will improve a lot. So it can't freeze your muscles like Botox. It's not like Fraxel, like a laser treatment that can, it doesn't refine the surface of your skin, but it's plumping it from the inside out. Therefore the skin looks less crepey, and it cannot address pigmentation. So it's nothing like a limelight treatment. It doesn't treat sunspots or anything like that. It's basically building the skin from the inside, that structure, but nothing on the surface. Let's put it that way. So with that being said, the benefit of Profhilo is it's quick. You go in, a few injections, and you're out of there. With the lasers and the limelights, yeah, it's painful, and there is about a 2-week recovery where you can't really go out. So I'm off for my second treatment. I will let you know how that goes. I highly recommend you go and watch my first video on Profhilo. It was a very good one, and I'll see you just now. Okay, so I've just got back from my second Profhilo treatment. You can see the little nodule, mainly that one, which last time it was also that one. So it's like there. It seems to only be 4 injection points, but maybe it's 5. I don't know. I didn't count. Mildly uncomfortable, the injection points, but the one thing the doctor reminded me was it's COVID time now, and I am eligible for my vaccine. I have registered, but I have to wait 4 weeks after the Profhilo treatment before I can get the vaccine. It's just what the Aesthetics Association recommends, that you wait 4 weeks on either side of your treatments before you get the vaccine, so don't get the vaccine and then get a treatment, or don't get an injectable filler treatment and then get a vaccine. I think it's to reduce the risk of any complications. If your body's, I think, processing the filler or whatever it is, the vaccine might cause a reaction, or vice versa. I don't know the specifics. I didn't ask. I should have. I'm sorry. But it's the same with getting like dental cleaning or surgery. Don't do it around near your filler time. So there's a 4-week waiting. So that is very important to know. And then I was talking to her about how, the lower 2/3 of my face look great, and she can see a difference. And I said, but now, like, what about my poor forehead? So she suggested an alternative would be skin boosters up here, or obviously Botox, but I do from time to time get Botox in my frown lines, not that often, but it does seem to work well, all over the forehead. So skin boosters is one thing. Otherwise, you can do all the laser treatment there. What else could you do there? Not a hell of a lot. But she was saying that you don't even do filler in your forehead. So yeah. And then in terms of the collagen and elastin that gets built up with the Profhilo, she was saying it takes 6 to 9 months for all of that to build. So I think the true test of Profhilo would be by the end of the year, really, which, but as I say, I can see a difference, and it's noticeable to me in the mirror, to people. It's not really something you see in a photograph. Like, the camera doesn't pick up that crepey sort of skin texture as much as in person. But I am sold enough on the Profhilo to want it on my neck, and I've never really felt this excited really about a treatment. So I will see how the face goes. I will report back in another 4 weeks to see the full effect for you and for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, please do leave a thumbs up. If you have any questions for me, ask me in the comment section below. I do read all of them, and I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my first video. You can check out my video on Fraxel and IPL. As I say, Profhilo, I've noticed more of a difference at 4 weeks after the treatment than I did with the Fraxel. Disclaimer, the Fraxel, I only did 1 treatment. They recommend 3 to see the full effects, but I didn't see enough of a change to really excite me to carry on with it, which is why I jumped onto the Profhilo instead. And I am seeing more bang for my buck, let's put it that way. And that's, I think, what we all want when we over 40. We want bang for our buck, because let's be honest, these treatments are not cheap. They're time consuming. You have to go back. And why do it if it's not wow, you know? That's my feeling on it anyway. And once again, and as always, we are more than our skin, we are more than our beauty, we are more than our outsides. It's what's on the inside, obviously, that really counts. But we live in a world where we are judged on our looks, and the more you take care of the outside, I do believe people respond better to you. So it's a fine balance, but let's walk that balance and hold it. Thank you very much. Bye.